Welcome, everybody, to Breakfast with Bob, the first time ever at the Boston Marathon. My name is Bob Babbitt. We're presented to you by Hyland's Leg Cramps. Stop the cramps, not your race. And the NormaTec Pulse Recovery System. 120th Boston Marathon. Woo. Bart Yasso is our guest, the main man at Runner's World.
Yeah.
Bart, man, you've been here, what, every year since 82?
Every year since 82, 34 years in a row I've been coming to this race. In the old days I was a runner, now I just come do my Runner's World duties, but I'm here all weekend. It's unbelievable.
What impressive.
First thing I tell people, I haven't been to all 120 Boston Marathons.
Oh, yes,
I'm
you
old,
have.
but I'm not that old.
Yeah, your 120th Boston Marathon right here. What was it about this event that impressed you the first time you came?
You know, back in the day, we had to all run a 250 to get into this race. So,
yes.
You know, we showed up here. We all had that qualifying time, and that's what I remember, how many fit people were here back in the day.
And you a few thousand?
Yeah, we were probably 4,000.
Yeah.
But everyone was fit, ready to go, and you know, it was just an awesome atmosphere. And I was taken back just like every other runner, man.
Yeah.
I came here I was like a puppy dog walking around, taking it all in, listening to Frank Shorter speak, and you know, I just couldn't imagine it. And then to think that was 34 years ago, it actually feels like yesterday. I got to be honest, but I know it was 34 years ago. I'm not good at math, but I can do that math.
Favorite moments over the years from this race?
You know, I gotta say, it has nothing to do with me running it, but you know, being here, being near that finish line in 2013. It was all about 2014, the way the race came back, the way the city came back, the way the runners came back, and the way the spirit within the Boston Marathon. To physically witness that, it had nothing to do with one person. It had to do with the 35,000 runners, the million people that live here, you know, all those people that, you know, those first responders and the police to make this safe.
Yes.
And the vibe in 2014 was unbelievable. I mean, it still gives me chills. You know, the 2013, you know, it's very sad. And,
of course.
You know, it was an evil thing. But the way everything came back, it's such a cool feeling to be part of all that. And I didn't run, but I was here obviously all weekend, and just to physically see that change, to witness it, it was pretty special.
Well, it also took running, which obviously it had been a niche sport and became a mainstream sport, but it became more than mainstream. Then it was front page. Then President Obama's talking about it. There was a lot of pressure in 2014, one, to have a safe event, but also, two, for America to make a statement, the statement that Meb Keflezighi made that day.
Yeah, oh my God. God, when I was standing at that finish line, when I realized that Meb was actually going to win, you know, I mean, he was in the lead, and you know, I'm the biggest Meb fan, just like you.
Yes.
But he was really going to win. It was unbelievable. Like, it was the perfect storm in a good way.
Yeah.
And God, he just came in. He looked so good, and I love the guy. Man, it gets me I tear up thinking about Meb winning this darn race. Unbelievable. It couldn't have happened at a better time.
No, it just made such a statement.
Couldn't have happened at a better time.
For yourself, I've always said that, you know, there's, as people age, running is obviously important, but you sort of have to cross-train. And you're one of the early guys. You rode your bike across the country. You did the Ironman numerous times. It's always been part of your DNA to do more than run. So how do you take that message and get that to the people who go from 0 miles to 60 miles running, run their first marathon for charity, and next thing you know, they got double knee braces on, and they're gone?
Yeah, I think long term. I want to be doing this for another 20, 30 years.
Right.
And that's why I use the cross-training. You know, I know the actual cross-training itself doesn't make you a faster runner.
Right.
But staying fit and uninjured for a long period of time makes you a faster runner.
Yeah.
And that's why I cross-train. It's not all just about tons of bike miles or tons of swim miles. It's really about when to use it properly and how to use it properly. And if you do that, you're just going to be doing this stuff for a long period of time, because I see the burnout, the mental and physical burnout. These people
double hip
are
replacement,
hell-bent, and they think I'm going to do this forever, and hey, it doesn't happen. And then stuff can come along, illnesses and stuff can slow you down. But if you have that mindset to think long term, if you want to be doing this for the rest of your life, that's the way you got to think. And so I love cross training.
See, the thing about the legends who've been made here between, you know, talking Billy Rogers, talking Alberto Salazar.
There's legends like Dick Beardsley, who didn't win, and Catherine Switzer, who didn't win.
Yes.
But they are beyond legends of the Boston Marathon for their stories. Beardsley, of course, the Duel in the Sun, finishing second to Alberto, and then of course,
was that your first year here?
That was my first year, Duel in the Sun, and then of course, Catherine Switzer being physically removed from the course 49 years ago. Now, Bobby Gibb was in the race the year before. She's here to celebrate her 50th running of Boston, but Catherine was the first female to put on a bib number. And, to think that 49 years ago they were trying to take women off of this course and tell them they weren't allowed, to now they're taking over the sport. Yeah, they're taking over our sport. Wow, what a change. And no better place to do it than on the streets of Boston.
You've traveled all over the world through this sport, right?
Yep.
Both of us have been very fortunate to be able to, we don't have jobs. We don't want, all you people out there, they don't want to let you know that.
We don't have real jobs.
We don't have jobs. We just do stuff we love to do.
Yeah.
Some of your favorite moments from international travel?
Yeah, international travel, doing races in East Africa where you're the only, what they call Menzungu, the only white person in the race.
Yes.
And everyone in the race does 5-minute pace or faster, and it's intimidating. But just to experience all the cultures, it's unbelievable. South Africa, to do the Comrades Marathon, they call it a marathon even though it's 56 hilly miles. But South Africans are so tough, they call 56 miles a marathon.
And how many people do that?
20,000.
And they close it off.
Yeah. But, Nelson Mandela has always been my favorite leader.
Yes.
Politics aside, I don't want to get political, but he has always been my favorite leader. The way he dealt with the people, the way he dealt with the changes, the way he dealt with being in prison for 28 years for wrong reasons, a political prisoner. And when I finished the Comrades Marathon, the finish line announcer said, "Here comes Bart Yasso. He's the Nelson Mandela of running."
Wow.
I was in tears. I was in tears because of the pain I was in, and I was in tears because I was actually going to get to finish Comrades. And then when I heard that announcement, I was like, wow. They had no clue those words uttered mean more to me than anything, whether they, I don't consider myself the Nelson Mandela of running, but if these people thought I am or gave me that compliment, that was the coolest thing anyone could have ever said to me. And these people did not know that. Right. They did not know how crazy I am about Nelson Mandela. But that's my favorite, Comrades being at that start. And I was invited up to the stage right before the start to do a TV interview, and then looking out, thinking that 30 years ago there were no black citizens in the race because they weren't allowed to do the race. To look back to see all those black faces ready to run 56 miles. Oh, man, it brought joy to my heart. Very similar to being at the start of Boston Marathon, looking at all the women that thinking 50 years ago there was only one, and she hid behind a bush because she thought they would, attack her and arrest her. And now you see thousands and thousands of smiling women heading out on that course. So those changes are what it's all about.
What's interesting to me, you talk about, we don't think about running as political, but like you said, here are African-American people or just black Africans allowed to race for the first time. We're talking about women allowed to race for the first time. We're talking through Ironman, wheelchair athletes, and same with running, right? And amputee athletes, showing that our sports are an equal opportunity abuser, right? Yeah. Anybody is allowed, doesn't matter your size, weight, you can come out and participate.
Yep.
And I know that's something you embrace, the leaders are the leaders, but the stories in the pack is really why Runner's World has been as successful, because you focus on that as well.
Yeah, the wheelchair racing started here back in the 70s.
Jim Knob.
Yeah, and these
Bobby
athletes,
Hall.
Bobby Hall, it all started right here. And these athletes have taken it to a whole new level. But I remember those early years of people would line on the side of the road and cheer on all the wheelchair athletes. Bill Rogers back in the day. And then they would wait for the legend Johnny Kelly to come in. And that stuff it didn't happen anywhere else.
No.
Can you imagine Johnny Kelly? He did the race 60-plus times. That guy was doing it till he was almost 90 years old.
Yes.
And then those wheelchair athletes, anyone in Challenge Athletes Foundation, they just inspire me so much because it's what we are all about. Endurance sports, we welcome everyone. But having said that, that person, that athlete has to have the guts to do it.
They have to get to the starting line, right? Yeah.
And as you know, that's where it takes the guts. Like, you don't feel like you belong because you don't have a limb or, whatever that condition is.
Sure.
But we welcome them. And then when they see other athletes out there and they see them finish, man, they get fired up.
You were telling me a story a while ago about somebody coming up to you that they had, when the race was stopped prematurely in 2013, some guy had stopped his watch.
Oh, yeah.
And kept his watch.
God. Yeah.
Tell us that
Yeah, so
story.
that's a 2014 story. So 2013, he got stopped with a little over a mile to go. He didn't know what was going on, so he like every runner, he stopped his watch. And then, of course, he found out what happened, and the race is closed, and they had to go back to their hotel. He let his watch like that for a year.
A year.
So he shows up, and we're going to he asked me to come with him. We're going to do a run from where he was stopped to the finish line. It's a little 1.3 miles.
Yes.
And we get there, and I said I would run with him. I didn't know about his watch. And we get right to that point. He goes, here's where I was stopped. And then he looked at me and said, my watch is still where it was a year ago. And he wanted me to start it. And then we're going to run, because he was shaking and crying. And I'm like, I don't want to hit the wrong button and freak this guy out and take his watch to zeros. I'm like, please tell me the right button to push, and I will push it, because he was visibly shaking. And thank God I got the right button, and then we ran together with a group, and we got to that finish, and this guy broke down. Oh my God, gives me chills thinking about it. Like he did the right thing. He knew some runners were trying to still get to the finish line, but once people realized what really happened, everyone came to grips with it and moved on. But he wanted to finish his race, so he counted it. That time that he did, that was his time. And he's not in the results, but he personally knows what he did.
And that's all that matters.
That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Yeah, he literally his marathon was suspended for 365 days, but he got to cross that finish line, and what's in here is what it's all about anyway. So it's not written in results, but it's written in his heart, and that's all that counts.
When you came here in '82, like you said, 4,000 people. Now it's 40,000 people. Right?
Yeah.
So what has happened with running that has made it so inclusive, that's made it something that anybody can do? Because back then, you had to be a skinny guy to be doing the sport.
Yeah, we opened up the doors of intimidation. We just said, look, this sport is for everybody. Like, everyone's welcome. And that's what happened. And, the human person, the human spirit, nobody goes where they don't feel welcomed or don't feel part of the crowd. It's just the way we are.
Right.
Like, you walk into a room and no one looks at you, no one talks to you, you're going to walk out. And that's we had those walls of intimidation
and we used
in the
to
beginning.
Be like that.
Yes. We broke down those walls. So now people come in, everyone talks to them, everybody hugs them. I mean, I go to these races, I get hugged in races. I did that race in Cabos, and people were hugging me during the race. I couldn't even run. They had me crying. The Mexican people, they really were so. I spoke to this big running club the day before the race, and they were out there cheering for me, and they made this little gauntlet, and I had to run through, and they were screaming my name, Yasso, and hugging me as I was running the race. I thought, oh my God, this is the greatest sport ever. My time doesn't mean anything anymore anyway, so I'd be happy to walk or do whatever, but I was still trying to run, and I got hugged one person after the next. It was the coolest thing, and that's what's changed. That wouldn't have happened years ago.
No, those guys weren't hugging.
No, they were not
Kirk
hugging.
Pfeffer wasn't hugging Bill Rogers at the starting line.
No, and these were runners that, normally would have been doing the race, but because it's in their hometown and it's because it's put on by their running club, they volunteered, and they were out there at manning an aid station, and they set this little gauntlet up to cheer on everybody. But, they had this, because I spoke to that group, they had the hugs for me, and I'll tell you, man, they had me in tears. They still have me in tears. And that's what I love about this sport. You and I we are lucky to have this media to connect with people.
Right.
And, I don't say I'm special or different than anybody else. Just working at Runner's World, which is a big media company, we have these opportunities, and you do the same. But you have to take advantage of those opportunities. And I'd never let an opportunity pass me up. I get asked to speak to kids, to senior citizens, to whoever.
You're there.
I'm there. If they're excited, if they want to have me, I'm there. And that's what I love. Because, I spoke to Amish people, 300 Amish people. How do you speak to 300 Amish people about running?
Were you doing fashion tips?
Yeah, that was one of the greatest opportunities, because I knew I had a chance to make a difference in this community.
Yes.
Because at that point, there were just this handful of runners. And now I go back to that community, and there's 400 or 500 Amish people running around, and they all know me.
And wearing day-glow shorts.
Yeah, no, they're not doing that, but they're. When you have that opportunity to really make change to groups like you talked about, challenge athletes, and things like I use that Amish for an example. I mean, this sport will change people, but we have to give them that opportunity. The word is opportunity. Got to welcome them. Give them that opportunity, and they will flourish in our sport. I feel like my job at Runner's World is, I go in my office every day and think, I got to create new runners today. People that don't even think they could be a runner, and they're not running right now. And that's what I work on, to try to get those people, use my resources at Runner's World. Because I know if I can get them to take those first steps and get them out there, they go to that first race.
Put that number on.
Oh,
done.
It's done because the running community takes over. I don't have to do a thing. No. I don't even have to be at the race.
We got to get them to start.
If they start, they get that race, the runners are going to welcome them, make them feel happy, make them feel good about their accomplishment, and then they're going to go, wow, I'm hooked. As I say, the running community is very, it's what I use a bunch of different words, but I would say it's, you just get sucked in and you can't get out of it. It's I don't know what it is, but it's just spirit. That's it's just runners are just happy people, and they're willing to share, and they really encourage everybody, and you kind of get intoxicated by the whole scene, and then you're hooked.
Love that. So I can't let you go without talking a little Polo Manzungo.
Polo Manzungo, the slow white man in Swahili.
So you're in East Africa, you're running a marathon, and you're out there and feeling like you're running well, right? You're on what, 230 something?
I'm around 240, 238, somewhere in there, running right around 6-minute pace, and they're like...
Nobody around you, though, right? Because the two-loop course.
Yeah, the two-loop course, I did start catching a few runners.
Yeah.
I was way in the back. There may have been one or two behind me early on. And then I was, and then I was catching a few runners, reeling a couple in that started out too quickly. But it was the kids along the side of the road that would call me Poli Manzungo.
And smiling and clapping.
Yeah, they were loving it. Yeah, they were smiling at me. And I didn't know enough Swahili to really know what they were saying. So I was internalizing. They're telling me I look good.
Good guy. You're going
fast. Look at this guy. Yeah. He looks strong. He's almost there. He looks good. No, that's not what I was.
So when you come across the finish line, there's nothing there.
Oh, no, everyone left. When I came to it halfway, everybody was there. People screaming, yelling, and then the winners came in and everybody left, including the race director. They're like, okay, the winners are in. Let's go home.
He broke everything down.
Yeah.
Took the clock,
shoot, done.
So when you come across what you think is the finish line, which was the finish line. You eventually track down the race director who's in a bar somewhere.
They're in the Moshi Hotel drinking Pepsi. They're not big on drinking alcohol, but they're drinking Pepsi. They're real happy, and I go in, I'm going like, the clock, the shoot, the finish line. 240, what were you doing out there that long? I said, I ran my guts out. I was really happy with my time. And, it's just a different mindset.
So basically, they break down everything at 220.
Yeah, not anymore. That was years ago. Yeah, they really, the winners came in and they are like, well, okay, there's no other reason to hang around. The winners are here. Let's get out of here.
So you say to them, well, hey, but these people were cheering for me.
Yeah. And they said, hey, that's when I said to race director, I said, hey, everyone gave me the same cheer, Poli Manzungo, and smiled. So I thought he was going to tell me, to tell you how strong you look, how good, And he looked at me, he started laughing, and that's when he told me about slow white man.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Poli Manzungo
Poli is slow, and Manzungo is a slang for white man. So
they were 238.
Yeah, but they really meant it in a nice way. That's what's really funny. They weren't making fun of me. It's just like they were a bunch of kids out there and looking at me struggling, 20-some minutes behind the leaders, thinking, why is this guy out here? And I was the only Manzungo or white guy in the race, so it was easy to find me out there. But to run in East Africa it's the best. Run with a lot of kids there. Yes. It's an unbelievable experience.
Well, the sport has changed lives all over the world, and that's a cool thing about it. Being an ambassador for the sport like you are, traveling the world, and knowing that what you do impacts somebody's life and their family's life. It's not just them. It's once they feel good about themselves, it makes everything better.
Yeah. When I got in my plane this morning, I signed 4 books in the airplane coming here.
Nice.
People came up to me and the first person said, "I'm sorry, if it's inconvenient." I said, "Inconvenience? You got to be crazy." I gave the woman a hug. Found out it's her first Boston. I said, "This is the coolest thing ever. Don't ever think of it as an inconvenience."
Yeah,
I said, "I love what I do, and I love to connect with runners, and but it is fun to be signing books. I didn't even get to Boston yet, and the Boston buzz was crazy. There were a lot of runners, obviously, on my plane, a flight from Philly into Boston, but it's kind of fun.
I love that.
7:00 in the morning, I'm signing books on an airplane coming to Boston. It doesn't get any better. That's what I really love. I still run a little bit, still do occasional race here and there, but it
doesn't matter.
As you know, in our world, we're still endurance athletes, but we endure more of the festivities and the things that we're doing because that's where we are. And that's what we love to do. We have these opportunities ourselves. We got to take advantage of them and really spread the love, keep people involved, people engaged, and grow the sport.
Grow the sport.
Keep people coming in. And that's, I feel very lucky to have that opportunity.
And nobody does it better than you do, my man. And what a better way to start out our first ever Boston edition of Breakfast with Bob than with Bart Yasso, our ambassador for the sport. Bart, thanks, buddy.
Bob,
appreciate it.
Thank you. Keep up the good work. This is fun stuff to do. 120th Boston Marathon. It's the best.
We're presenting you by Hyland's Leg Cramps. Stop the cramps, not your race. NormaTec Pulse Recovery System. Again, Breakfast with Bob. My name is Bob Babbitt. Our guest has been Mr. Bart Yasso. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.